Hello and welcome to Maverick Live. It is Friday. You got to get down on Friday. Here with me is the head of operations for Maverick, Terry Heath.
Thank you. It's good to be here. My turn to be the subject of whatever happens in the next 15 minutes.
Exactly. So I've done this with all of the guests throughout this week. So even if people know who you are, just give us a brief rundown of who you are and what you do.
Who I am, well, as announced, Terry Heath, head of operations here at Maverick. I've been around for just coming up, or just under 2 years. And I'm basically the guy who just sorts the stuff out, is pretty much what it is.
Done.
Sorts the stuff out, gets it done. That's my job. So chase around, make sure things are happening, keep all the wheels spinning in the business.
And you lead a lot of the live training events.
Do a lot of the live training events, involved right from the planning stages right through to the execution as well. I get the pleasure of doing a number of these training events, which is always really good.
So you was bigged up by Dean before your even appearance today. I was last week. He was like, "You're going to see Terry." So I will just jump straight into it, and I'll just say, when you're delivering the training events, what do you think is the essential bits to get right?
Essential bits to get right. There's many opinions on what you should or should not do in training events. For me, first of all, is as a trainer, the room that I'm in or the place that I'm in, or even if I'm on a webinar, is making sure that's just right. There's nothing worse, we've all seen it, across all of our Zooms and our Google Meets. You've got somebody doing a training and there's just a whole load of activity in the background, there's distractions going on. Same thing applies in physical events. Make sure the distractions aren't there, make sure there's not garish, horrible screens behind you, all that sort of stuff. You want the attention on you as a trainer. And so, that's one of the first things I always make sure.
You need the equipment right, you need the right atmosphere, everyone needs to be sat down and prepared and ready to roll, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. When you walk in for a physical event, which, we all look forward to getting back to in 2021, making sure that atmosphere in the room is good. There's nothing worse than a cold room. There's nothing worse than it's just dead silent. It's like you walk into a morgue and everyone's looking at each other, and if they've all come from different companies, nobody knows each other. You want to break that down straight away. You want to get people talking, make sure it's a bit of music in the background before it starts, all of that, set the atmosphere.
Yes, before the pandemic, people even then would sit like a couple of seats away from each other, and it would be this air of everyone sort of waiting for a bus or something.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like a networking event. It wasn't a nice environment, but as soon as you put the music on, as soon as you have someone at the front greeting you, and you've got your information there, I feel like there's also the handouts as well, which is hard to do online because you've got workbooks, don't you?
Absolutely. We use workbooks of all our physical events. Online's a bit different. You're sending PDFs out. Do people open them? Do they even bother with them? You never know, but the tools are there.
There's more technical issues as well when it comes to online events.
Absolutely,
if you send someone a PDF and they don't know how to open it, or there's like password protections, or they can't access it, there's an extra step to it now, isn't there?
There's absolutely online stuff. There's a little bit more preparation goes into it. Physical's a lot easier. Online, you've got to be a bit more prepared. Make sure you've got all the assets around that you want to share out with people, and as you say, make sure that you can actually get into them, that it's still live and active. You're putting out any web links. Does it still work? The amount of people I've seen have put up a web link, you go, hey, and then you get there, and there's nothing.
The other link might have changed, or it's,
error page.
It's communication, isn't it, as well? When you're doing a live event, you say, okay, we're doing it at this time, so you send out a reminder email maybe a day before, then an hour before. So getting people there aside, once you're there, then it's holding the attention.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said there, which is the event itself starts before they even arrive. Whether that be a physical event or online, you communicate with them leading up to it. If nothing else, you're communicating, here's the link, come and watch, or else you're self-defeating if nobody knows where to go. But if you start that rapport with them before they even get there, by the time you get in, you've probably had 1 or 2 emails from people anyway. You can start a dialogue, even on a webinar, and it just gets things moving along a little bit, makes the whole environment a lot better.
Do you think it's important to have a moderator in the chat when you've got like a live training event, just to help people for little bits?
Absolutely. So I'll do that from time to time. Sometimes I'm training, sometimes I'm doing the moderator. Having somebody there who's as skilled as you moderating in the chat means that one is you're presenting. You don't have to be watching that box on the right-hand side wondering who's asking what questions and where am I at. They can be answering stuff on your behalf, bringing things to your attention as well. And it just keeps everything ticking along, keeps everything running smoothly.
Yeah, because you can get a lot of people are in different probably stages of their training. So when it comes to questions, do you prefer to take questions as they come in, or do you prefer to do a Q&A at the end?
Personally, I prefer them as it's happening. I'd rather people talk about the things that are right on their mind at that moment, because we're all the same. If you tell everybody, let's wait till the end of the session, I'll answer your questions, half of them will have forgot what they were thinking at the time.
Yeah.
And then there's the old adage, which is if somebody asks a question, you can probably guarantee somebody else on the webinar or in the room is thinking the same thing, they just didn't have the courage to shout out.
Sometimes they'll have questions which could lead into a whole new webinar, because they'll say, oh, it's just a quick thing, but can you explain this? But then it can kind of derail you in a sense, but it's all about trying to bring it back in, give them just enough of an answer to say, oh, we can deal with this in the future.
Yeah, it's having the self-discipline as you're training. You know where you want to get to, and you know the journey you want to take to get people there. So any questions that come along, you've got to keep it on track.
Yeah.
So any questions that go off track,
You wouldn't answer what's your favourite sandwich when
yeah.
you're trying to tell people how to use LinkedIn.
I probably wouldn't say no to answering that one, as long as they can provide.
You could say, well, you could say,
Get an Uber in.
you could talk about your favourite sandwich as a content piece, and then you could move in. So it's all about trying to still grab people and bring them back in.
Put my subliminal messaging throughout the whole thing and get a free sandwich. Yeah, it sounds great.
So in terms of at the end of the training, do you think it's more important to lead people into your next session, or do you give them homework? What happens at the end of your training session?
Depends what your training is. So we'll do a bunch of different styles of training. So you do the training that's more one-off. People turn up, they get the training, and then we would probably communicate to them about upsells and further training that would be good for them. But then there'll be training that we'll do with corporations and bigger businesses, which might span over 3-4 weeks. In those cases, definitely, we would give them some homework. Let's get people accountable. Let's get people using the tools and the teaching that they've just received, and get it into action. Most of the stuff that we do, the biggest frustration we have is you pour out all this knowledge and training, and you coach them in this stuff, and then they don't do it. So having something that keeps people accountable from week to week is important.
Yeah, I think some people need that. I mean, it's not a condescending thing. It's just making sure that they put the tools into practice. And I think in terms of, like I think most coaches will agree, it's hard to just give out that advice, give out the strategy, and not see the results come in. Because at the end of the day, you really want the results for the people who come to the training, because then they can, praise about it, and then it helps everyone out.
Yeah.
So I'd say the follow-up is just as important, really, as the whole training in itself.
Absolutely.
It's making sure that everyone's actioned what they say we're going to action and moving forward. If they don't, you can go through it again, but it's more of a push.
Yeah,
that's something a lot of people need. And
the sort of business that we are, and the culture that we have, which is we don't, and I've been to a lot of these where you turn up for the training and that's the last you hear of them. It's like they've vanished off the planet and left you to just get on with it. We've never been that way. We're always the ones that say, hey, here's our email, here's the phone number, you get stuck, you give us a call. At the end of the day, if they succeed, we succeed. Because they're the ones that are going to give the 5-star ratings on Trustpilot. Yeah. They're the ones that, we take forward to show to other people, say, this is why you should engage with Maverick.
And you want to know if the training's working as well, don't you?
Absolutely.
You want to make sure everyone gets value from it.
Yeah, so we want all those case studies and testimonials of people who said, look, I did what you said and it works. I got this contract and this contract, and this new business deal. And that's what, in a sense, it's what makes us tick. When we get those stories back, that's what puts the smile on our face, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Well, it leads me into the, our last question to do with this topic. At the end of the training, you've turned everything off, you answered all the questions. What happens next? How do you feel?
Personally, you normally go through this personal battle with yourself as, did I deliver everything? 9 times out of 10, you'll come away going, oh crap, I forgot that, and I forgot that, and I forgot that. The truth is, whatever topic we're doing, you know so much more about it than the time allotted to training it. And so you do come away personally going, oh, I'm not sure if I quite hit the nail on the head and stuff like that. But generally, you can...
I briefly mentioned this, but I could have gone into more detail by doing this.
Yeah, there's more detail. I could have covered that. There's been a few times we'll have long 4 or 5 hour trainings. We'll have a lunch break, not a lunch break, but have a break in the middle. Yeah. And it's that point in the break that you suddenly go, I forgot this and I forgot that. So you do a quick backtrack and then get in.
But time constraints are really tough, because I noticed sometimes when Dean's on his live shows, he'll say, oh, I'll go into a quick thing, and he'll be there for an extra 2 hours.
Yeah, we are known for that at Maverick. We'll have a 60-minute webinar that never lasts 60 minutes. They're 90 minutes. We've got one of our courses, the Social Selling Accelerator, and we have what was supposed to be a 30-minute Q&A on a Tuesday evening, and it's never been under an hour. Never. Why? Is because people answer their questions. We're quite generous with our time, and freely we'll answer questions, help people with their businesses where we can.
Yeah, you have to allocate a little bit more time just in case something appears. You can't just be like, okay, I've got this date, and as soon as this timer comes, we're going to cut it off and we're going to leave.
Yeah.
Even at the start of our first show, I think Dean was here. We were here for we were 25 minutes, and the episode's been 15. So I've been trying to make it a little bit more by the beat.
Yeah.
Just so we can have that sort of structure. But I'm not going to be that,
Yeah,
I'm not going to cut someone off when there's a good point.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's the individual's character. Some people just really get into it and they're very conversational and do it, and yet you might find other trainers which it's A, B, C,
yeah,
and they're done.
Do this now, bye.
And they're gone, and that's it. So it really is about the character of the individual, and really the ethics behind the business. We're the sort of business that just says, look, we want you to succeed. That's why we do what we do. If you don't succeed, we're just the miserable people sitting back in the office going, we failed again.
So if this was a Boris Johnson campaign, it would be preparation, interest, and I'm going to say follow-up, but more of, what's the phrase? Stick around.
Yeah, stick around. So a lot of the people we got who come to our events, they stay connected with us after the events because they see the value in what we do, and they know that we're generous with our time, so people stick around. So actually our client base is growing all the time. It's not a case of come in, get something, disappear.
Yeah.
A lot of people stick around for quite some time.
It's hardly a conveyor belt process anymore when it comes to obviously business support.
No, you've got to build relationships with these people. They need to trust you and have the confidence to know what you're saying is true and it works.
Fantastic. If you have any questions for Terry now or in the future, he will be on the show. Just like I say with Vasco and Dean,
we'll
myself, we're all going to be here. Next year, we're going to be doing a lot more shows. So if there's any topics or questions you really want us to delve into, let us know. Comment. We'll look through the comments again, and we can even devise a whole show just around your questions.
Absolutely.
What's the? I can't see if there's a camera in my face. What time are we on now, guys?
1:30.
Oh, we dead on again? Fantastic. I'm showing some, there is one or two people back there I just want to give a shout out to. We'll keep all this running.
Absolutely.
It's been a great 2 weeks. Next Monday, we're going to have Dean back with Curtis. And then we'll have on Wednesday, Vasco and Dean. And then finally, bring it all back to our final show of the year. It'll be me and Dean. But thank you so much for coming on, Terry.
No problem. It's been good.
And we'll see you in the new year.
Absolutely. Bye now.